Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of my Safe Zone, episode number 2. Thank y'all for clicking the video. Hope y'all doing well. I am extremely hungry, so I am trying to hurry up. Let's get into the video. Don't forget to comment, share the video, and let's get straight into it. We jump into a
Flashback.
of them as kids. Lynn is heartbroken about her relationship that just had ended and is amazed that Jane gives great advice for someone who hasn't been in a relationship. Jane wants to know why keep loving and caring about someone who don't love you at all. If they got somebody, then just break it off. Lynn ain't trying to hear that right now. Jane like, you ain't got her, but you still got me. Out of the flashback, we see Jane about to throw down in the kitchen over to Lynn, and she is sleeping, then rolls over onto the floor. I'm like, what's she sleeping on? A mat? Where's the air mattress? Y'all, I'm playing like I didn't used to sleep on a cot on the floor as a kid into my teens. That shit hurted. Your body remembers. Anyway, back to them. Lynn rushes downstairs to talk to Jane. Lynn talk about, I woke up and I thought I needed a physical therapist because my back hurts. I thought I had slipped a disc or had a herniated one. Jane like, oh, your back hurts? They look intensely at one another. Lynn like, why you had me sleep on the floor? The bed ain't small. We shared one when we was kids, so why you didn't have me sleep in the bed with you? Lynn continues, are you getting back at me for not telling you I was leaving 8 years ago? Jane like, no, you kept asking to sleep on the floor. Lynn is shocked. Ain't no way she sat there and asked to sleep on the floor.
Flashback.
Lynn quits making out with Jane to throw up. Bruh, not that kind of drunk, the throwing up kind, but it's better to throw it up, I guess. But wow, I don't mind the ones that cry or sing when they drunk. Leave a comment below of what type of drunk you are or can tolerate. Back to the story. Jane cleans her up and tells her goodnight because she was going to sleep on the mat. However, Lynn jumps down with her, asking Jane to let her sleep down there with her. Out of the flashback, Jane says to Lynn, you remember any of this? Lynn like, I recall me telling you they was fucking in the bed and not really knowing how many times they were fucking around. Jane is surprised and asked if that's all Lynn remembered. Lynn talk about what else should I remember? Jane like, last night you probably thought you were with Kate. Lynn says, nah, I moved on from her. Jane shifts the focus to the food she prepared for Lynn to make her hangover disappear and wants Lynn to take a shower because she funky as hell. Lynn does a smell check to verify when she realized she didn't put these clothes on she's wearing. And Lynn goes to Jane's room and starts questioning Jane, wanting to know if she wiped her down last night. Lynn wants specifics. Jane like, I unclothed you because you was throwing up. What else was I gonna do? Lynn is panicked. She like, did you change my underwear? Jane says, nah, I didn't change your underwear. Lynn is still stressing. She like, so you saw my chest. Jane is like, girl, don't be embarrassed. We've been changing our clothes together since we was kids. Now leave. I gotta change for work. Lynn disregards all that and once again asks about a table at Jane's restaurant. Jane tells her to go home for the second time and closes the door. Lynn just opens the door and goes in the room to keep pressing about the reservation at Jane's restaurant. Jane is now embarrassed because Lynn just barged in on her getting changed. Lynn talk about what we've seen each other naked before. Jane like, you really won't let this go. Lynn buttons Jane's shirt and says, I'll do anything for a table. Jane's like, all right, fine, but you gotta help me design a new dish. Lynn is down with it. Then Lynn goes outside to the gate and she tells Jane that the gate ain't open. It's locked. Then goes on to say she's really happy that she gets to converse with Jane again like she used to. Jane is giddy as fuck. Now, I ain't mad with you, Jane. Just wish you could have tiptoed into it. But you've been wanting her since childhood, so I'll give you a break. Now, back to them. Jane is at her establishment and her staff is coming in clowning. Jane want to know if all of the items are there. They're like, yes. Jane says, all right, then you wash them and prepare them. Lynn comes into the kitchen. And again, I see Jane in the kitchen cooking with high heels. It's giving back in them olden days when like them traditional people used to wear them high heels and wait for the guy to come on. But anyway, if she's comfortable cooking in the high heels, I'm cool with it. Back to the story. The staff talk amongst themselves like, who is this? Lynn asks Jane, is her restaurant super well known? Jane like, nah, I wouldn't say that. The staff call BS. Jane is just being modest. The place is extremely popular. There's a line all the time, and people from magazines wants to interview her. However, she turns them down. Lynn like, for real, Jane? Jane doesn't answer and instead asks if Lynn showered or not. Lynn tells her no, I was rushing. Jane says, so when you leaving? Lynn like, whenever. Jane talk about, okay, then you'll have to wait for the table. I'm over here like, yes, I love when people are a little petty to someone they love. Jane, please keep cutting up and being petty, but not too much because I don't like extreme pettiness. It's a turn off to me. But keep doing it, Jane. I like it. Back to them though. Lynn tells Jane she gonna be around for a few months. Jane is smiling. She liked that response because she already got a plan in motion. Jane wanna know why Lynn needs the reservation so bad. Lynn like, cause pie is important to me into my future. Jane rolls her eyes. Lynn asks what she gotta do for this new dish. Jane shows her the current menu. Lynn looks at it and laughs at it for a little bit. Jane like, what you laughing for? Lynn says the food looks bomb, but the pictures, they need some work. Jane says, you're a good photographer, right? So fix my menu then. Lynn like, huh? Girl, I'm a fashion photographer. Jane says, so you can't shoot the food? Lynn tells her it's a completely different thing. Jane's like, well, learn. I want your ideas for you to shoot it and your dish. I'm like, now, Jane, this ain't Lynn's area of expertise. And you asking a lot all at once. Hold on. But anyway, Lynn agrees to do all this and we'll start today. Jane heads for the door. Lynn asks, you change your mind? Jane says, when I do a new dish, I usually work on it at home. They at Jane's home and Jane prepares some food. Lynn like, this the new dish? Jane says this is for lunch. Lynn's gut starts to growl. Jane says, you should be hungry since you ain't eat breakfast. Jane wants Lynn to eat the lunch. As she goes to leave, Lynn grabs some food for Jane because she wants them to eat together because eating it by herself is just lonely and sad. Lynn thinks the food is great. Pie calls. Lynn excuses herself and Lynn tells Pie on the phone that she's at a friend's house. Pie suddenly appears at Jane's house. Lynn's mom told Pie to find Lynn there. I'm like, now, Lynn's mom can't just be inviting random people to Jane's place. That shit is wild. Jane don't know Pie. She could at least call Jane first before inviting a random person to Jane's house. Back to them though. Pie bought something from the bakery and flowers fill in. Jane like guess the bakery is next to the flower shop. Pie confirms that to be true. Jane thinks all this is a coincidence. Pie is like, I see why you said you can secure a table. You live next to the restaurant, and the two of you are close. Lynn tells her that Jane and her have been friends since childhood. And also, I'm still trying to get you a table. Pie promises that once she has the table, she'll treat Lynn to 10 meals. Jane comes in with water for the both of them and squeezes herself in between the two of them. Then Jane tells Pie that the restaurant has been full recently, but is still committed to finding her a slot. Jane continues, I told Lynn how tough it is, but she constantly gives me those puppy dog eyes. Pie runs over to Lynn's side of the couch and thanks her for caring so much. Lynn says, I told Lynn I wanted to try your restaurant, but I didn't think she was fitting to try this hard. Like, damn, Pie. I know you got a sense they got something unspoken going on between them. Anyway, back to them. Jane is speaking with Lynn saying this was the model you was talking about. Lynn like, yeah, you don't know her? Jane talk about, nah, she must not be all that famous. Lynn tells Jane that Pie's mom owns W Magazine, which is a big fashion magazine in Thailand. Jane says, well, I still think she came here to be all up in your face. Lynn don't see the problem because at least she got somebody to cheer her up and can quit bothering Jane. Jane's like, that's fine and whatever, but it's too fast. Furthermore, don't you got work back in New York? Lynn figures if she end up with Pie, she may just come back to Thailand and work for her. Jane leaves to the kitchen. Lynn follows her and want to know what else Jane needs her to do. Jane like, nothing, you're dismissed, you can go. Lynn ain't moving and asks Jane what is she cooking. Jane says braised eggs. Lynn is reminded about Kate. It's the same thing she made for her when they were together. Lynn is in the dumps once again. Jane tells Lynn they're gonna go tomorrow and get ingredients for braised eggs. Lynn's like, didn't you just make some? Jane says, yeah, but it lacks story. She continues, the story makes food richer and gives people strength. And I'm like, that is nice, Jane. Food history is important and needs to be kept and give space to those who want to elevate and evolve the recipes. Back to them though. Jane's mom comes in the home. Side note, y'all, I know I call Jane's aunt mom, even when the sub says aunt. I've been doing it for the longest with my grandma, who I grew up with, because she raised me. I'm gonna try to call her aunt, but if I slip, that's why. Back to the story. Jane once took to try the braised eggs. Her aunt like, I heard that Lynn was helping you. Took asked Jane if she told Lynn about her crush that she always had on Lynn. Jane says, I was too afraid. Took like, is it cause you know she finna get married? Jane spills the tea, letting her know that they've broken up. Took is caught off guard and needs to know if Lynn's mom is up to date. Jane tells Took that Lynn ain't disclosed that information to her mom. Took like, well, what now? Jane says she's not waiting this time. Cut to Lynn at the gate. Jane is happy as always, but plays it cool. Talk about why you here. Lynn like, anything else I need for tomorrow? Jane says, nah, just you. So that's all you came for? Lynn nods. Jane's like, I'm a chef, not a number one photographer. Lynn is shocked by Jane's snarkiness. Lynn admits she couldn't sleep tonight because she was thinking about Kate. Jane like, how will you function tomorrow without sleep? Lynn says, I'm gonna go home. Jane is going with her. Lynn sees no reason because her house is close and keeps walking. Jane like, I'll keep you company. It's the next day. They driving. Lynn thought Jane was going to go to the market to get the ingredients. Jane says, when cooking for people, you need to know the ingredients are good and fresh. They arrive at their destination. Jane grabs the camera from the trunk, And I'm like, what's in the back seat? Why y'all couldn't just put the camera back there? But let me stop questioning. Jane approaches Lynn, but she didn't expect Jane to be that close, and Jane stumbles backwards, but Lynn catches her. They have a whole moment. Jane fitting to go in for a kiss when someone interrupts them. Jane talk about you had a bug in your hair. They are then given boots to collect the duck eggs. Lynn tries to help Jane with her boot. Jane is like, I can do it myself. Jane eventually gives in and let Lynn put the boots on her feet. They have some wonderful visuals that are shown. Then Jane tells Lynn that they will continue after they eat lunch. Jane helps Lynn over the fence, but then Lynn falls. She asks if Jane is hurt, and she shakes her head no. Then helps Jane up and apologizes. They go to eat. Lynn asks, what do I gotta do to make you forgive me? Jane like, I'll get over it. Lynn says, when though? Cause it's been so long. Lynn inches closer and closer to get a response. Jane like, I ain't mad no more. However, I'm still hurt. Lynn goes to feed Jane and apologizes once again. They're walking and talking. Lynn like, why don't you serve something more exciting than braised eggs? Jane like, the reason my business is thriving is because people are really busy and don't have the time to eat at home. So they order takeout every day, then forgets the taste of simple home cooked dishes. This is very true because I've been cooking at home because Grubhub and DoorDash is crazy expensive and I enjoy the process, just not the cleaning up afterwards. That shit is annoying. But that's the story. Jane continues, my food fills their stomachs and hearts. That's the reason they keep coming back. Jane notices Lynn acting odd. She asks Lynn, what's wrong? Then tucks her hair behind her ear and touches her face. Lynn says, can you not do all that? Jane like, what? Wipe the mud off you? She continues saying, what do you think I was doing? I'm like, now girl, you know you was trying to have a moment. Jane, don't play. Be for real with yourself. Anywho, Lynn just leaves. They finish picking the eggs. Jane is given mangoes since it's mango season. Lynn is like, you come here a lot? Lynn switches gears to talk about she's giving you a lot of mangoes. She into you or what? Jane says, no, but I'm into you. I'm like, damn, Jane, that was quick. It's only the second episode. You already confessed. But okay, rip the band-aid off. It's different, but I'm still locked in. Anyway, Lynn is calling Jane's name. Apparently, this whole confession was in her head. Shit, y'all got me. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was real though, given the fact that Jane is caving constantly. But back to them. Jane answers Lynn's question if she came here a lot. She claims she doesn't come here often. They head home. Jane suggests taking a shower prior to making anything, then takes the eggs from Lynn and goes inside. They reconvene in Jane's kitchen. Jane wants Lynn to grab some pork belly out the fridge and the palm sugar from the cabinet. She does and tries to reach for the spices, but can't. Jane goes to help, ends up making something fall outside of the cabinet. Lynn covers her and says, you okay? Jane ain't answer, but asks if Lynn was okay, then tells her to put on an apron. Lynn goes to look for an apron in Jane's room. I'm like, I don't know why the aprons would be in Jane's room and not the kitchen, because that's where you cook. So it'd be easier to have them right there. But anyway, again, looking too deep into this. Lynn is searching for an apron, but comes across her old shirt that she had given to Jane, and finally sees the words, Can I love you, Lynn? Jane comes to see if Lynn found the apron yet. Lynn is shocked by what she now knows, but plays it cool by saying, your closet is packed, so how would I know where to look? Jane finds the apron for Lynn and puts it on her. While doing so, Lynn just asks if Jane loved her. And that concludes episode 2 of My Save Zone. I wonder if Lynn feels like Jane's been getting close to her only because she loves her since she found out the truth. I also want to know what Took was searching for in those boxes. I hope Pi finds someone other than Lynn, and I don't want Lynn and Jane's feelings towards each other to impact the new dishes or menu. I can already see it a little bit, but that's the end of the video. Subscribe, comment if you want more content from me. Be safe, y'all. Later.